Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about a surprising agency growth strategy and how your agency can stop the RFP insanity and triumph. Now, you may be wondering who I am and why I'm here to teach you about growth. Well, my name is Christian Benak, and I'm about to tell you how I went from a concert promoter to a business development consultant for some of the leading advertising agencies in the world. So let's go back in time a bit first. When I was first in high school, I had started a concert promotion business, which quickly grew. And within a couple of years, we were working with Grammy Award winning artists like Lady Gaga and T-Pain and Pitbull. And along the way, we started in experiential marketing division, and eventually event marketing became about 50% of my company's revenue. Things were buzzing along great, but then the 2008 recession hit and business dried up. And like many agencies, I had grown through word of mouth and referrals. So at that point, I went out and I hired a sales consultant who really taught me the fundamentals of sales, and I absolutely loved it. So not long after, I decided it was time to close up shop, and I took what I learned from the sales consultant and I pivoted into a career in agency business development. So over the last decade, I've led business development teams at several agencies and have won multiple $1 million of business from global brands. But ever since closing my business, I had this sensation in the back of my head, and it was the entrepreneurial bug. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, how, when, but I knew I wanted to do something on my own again. And then the pandemic happened, and I saw agencies were struggling. Many were going out of business. And it really reminded me of when my agency was going through during the Great Recession. But this time I was in a different position, and I felt like I could help. So I decided to take my experience and launch a consultancy. And today we're blessed to be helping several of the world's most renowned and awarded agencies with their growth. And that brings me to this topic, growth. For many agencies, new business comes from RFPs. But I'm here to talk to you today about why RFPs are insane. First off, RFPs are unreliable. You don't know when they'll come in, from who, or for what. When RFPs do come in, they tend to drain resources and have really low returns. Many agencies, however, are enslaved to this roller coaster because they simply don't have another new business strategy. Let's take a look at why reliance on RFPs is problematic in the first place and explore an unexpected yet better approach to securing predictable agency growth. So RFPs are not the best option for organizations that want to hire a marketing agency. I think we would all agree with that. But maybe when it comes to tangible needs like purchasing office supplies or furniture, maybe then an RFP could help you identify the best vendor. You could use a scorecard, you could evaluate different quantifiable factors that would ultimately help you make your final decision. But we should not be using scorecards to choose a marketing agency. Scorecards do not measure intangible factors such as strategic thinking and creativity. For agencies, reliance on RFPs then for growth really leads to an unpredictable pipeline. It's very reactive, meaning that you really have no control over when the opportunities will come or from whom. So let's take a deeper look at why RFPs are killing your strategic growth and what you can do to beat the odds. So 3 reasons why RFPs are holding you back. Number 1 is RFPs are time consuming. Responding to an RFP often requires moving significant resources away from existing clients to new projects that might never even come to life. Without much promise of winning new business, you could fall victim to exploitation as well, especially when the prospect decides to use your work without even giving you credit. And I'm sure many of you have been in that position before. According to the 4 A's, they had a new business activity and resource survey report they put out that smaller agencies on an average year receive 10 or fewer retainer or project RFP invitations. The larger agencies will receive 12 to 30. So bottom line here is answering RFPs for the average agency requires a lot of commitment from your strategic and creative teams. Knowing that their input then could then also lead to lost time and unpaid work really makes it hard for agency leaders to swallow. The next reason here is that RFPs are expensive. It's no secret, RFPs are not cheap, either in time or financial resources. It's been reported by the PM Society that most agencies had spent on a single pitch anywhere from $39,000 to $120,000 with an average of $61,000. Even a decade ago, in May of 2012, James Murphy, who is the founding partner of Adam and Eve, he said that an agency could spend around $63,000 on materials alone for a really major pitch. And that's just the cost of the man hours. And then more recently, my colleague, former Chief Growth Officer at Dentsu, Michael Russell, he shared that his team would budget anywhere from 3 to 5% of the annual contract value for most pitches. So that means they could end up spending anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 on a $2 million assignment. While the above may just be brushed aside here as part of the game, we really can't ignore that companies oftentimes are sending out RFPs that cost more than they're even worth. So this begs the question, is this the smartest move for approaching new business? That brings me to my third point. RFPs are rigged. Unfortunately, in this business, proposals are rarely just won by merit alone. In fact, many RFPs are actually won from a pre-existing relationship. So before you even start, you know you are going to face an uphill battle. According to that same 4A's New Business Activity and Resources report, 33% of agencies, 51 to 100, report less than a 20% win rate, while 29% of agencies, 100 to 300, report a win rate of less than 10%. And then, according to agency growth consultant John Heaton, some research he had done, 71% of marketers admit to knowing before the pitch who will win the business. Additionally, 13% already have made up their mind before they even evaluate the pitches. Bottom line, the deck is stacked against you. That being said, there is a surprising and smarter new business strategy. Now, unfortunately, many agencies believe, though, that the RFP game is the only way to get new business. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Here's the secret. The secret is to build relationships with senior marketing decision makers before the review through proactive business development. Now, you might be saying, what is proactive? Why proactive? Well, first and foremost, nearly every industry, except for ours, the advertising and marketing industry, has sales teams. And I'm not talking about people responding to RFPs. I'm talking about staff dedicated to proactively going out there and generating leads and starting conversations about our agency services. In fact, in our industry, we don't even like to use the word sales. We call it business development. Now, call it what you like. Outbound sales or business development is the proactive engagement of prospects through strategic cold calling, cold email, and social media to generate a predictable pipeline of opportunities with target prospects. There's a lot to unpack there, but I want to spend some time on this. First off, it's proactive. You are not waiting for an opportunity to come through your website or through a referral. You're proactively going after it. It's strategic. I'm not suggesting some mass email or just calling down the phone book. No, it's very strategic in who you're going to be reaching out to. And it's predictable, right? You want to know at the end of the day how many outbound sales activities will yield a certain number of opportunities, which will yield a certain number of new business wins. Now, you might be thinking, is this right for my agency? Well, let me give you an example here. Digitas, one of the most renowned agencies out there, has dramatically benefited from outbound. At the Mirren Live 2021 Agency Growth Conference, their CMO, Michelle Tang, shared that their proactive prospecting approach has resulted in an astounding 79% win rate in 2020. The strategy has led Digitas's new business team to be awarded Campaign US's 2020 Agency of the Year shortlist. See, the difference here is that you are able to select the type of companies you want to work with and the types of work you want to take on. You are proactively reaching out to the prospects through personalized outreach that focuses on specific problems that the prospect is experiencing, which your agency can uniquely solve. But the agencies that are getting outbound right, they aren't necessarily trying to just blast out and try to sell or broadcast their latest work or credentials through cold outreach. Instead, these agencies are leveraging their intellectual property by offering to share relevant insights with prospects to start relationships. What's great about this approach is that they're positioning themselves as an authority on a topic that's relevant to their prospects. Let's talk about the benefits now of outbound business development. So first and foremost, outbound allows you to bypass the costly RFP process. By building these relationships with prospects that are experiencing these challenges that you're able to solve, you're often going to be given project work without any sort of competitive pitch. Now, besides the apparent short-term revenue benefit that I just mentioned, the project work will help you down the line. It's been reported that as much as 70% of marketers are using project-based work to actually vet marketing agencies. So you're going to soon discover that project is just the first step towards getting more significant and longer-term engagements. Now, the second reason is that you can get more right fit RFPs. Okay, so you may not be able to completely avoid the RFP. Let's be realistic. But this approach gets you invited to more pitches, but the pitches you want to be invited to. Remember, since it's proactive, you're selecting the industries and companies to target with the types of work you want to be known for. Therefore, you're building the relationships with the audience that you have a right to win and you want to win. And that brings me to number 3. You get shortlisted. Through outbound sales, you're going to find yourself as the preferred agency in much more reviews. Now, why is that? Because instead of just being one of 20 agencies that the client blindly sent RFPs to, you're going to be far ahead of the game because you're going to have a pre-existing relationship with that prospect. Since you've now also given that prospect value and demonstrated your expertise in solving challenges they're experiencing, you're going to have significantly increased your chances of being the predetermined winner. Now, you might be asking, how do I start a business development program, an outbound program like this? Well, there are really 2 main ways. There is either in-house or there's outsourcing. From an in-house point of view, you're going to hire all the people, all the players who are going to go out there and find research prospects and try to turn them into clients. On the other side, outsourcing, you can work with an agency or you can work with independent outsourced folks who will generate the leads for you. Now, you may be asking, which is the better option? Well, one of the benefits of outbound outsourcing is that you can leverage their proven sales methods and expertise to achieve your goals faster. You don't have to devote precious time and resources to train an in-house team, as well as develop your own lead generation and sales process. So this is especially important when you want to launch and start selling your services as quickly as possible. Outsourcing also gives you more cost flexibility. You have the freedom to decide if and when you want to scale up or down based on the demand. Whereas having an in-house sales team, it's a fixed expense no matter how big the sales. Now, costs are not just in people. To have an effective outbound program, you're going to need sales technology tools like a CRM, sales engagement platforms, and even data providers. Now, these tools typically will come along with your outsourced partner, whereas if you're building it in-house, you're going to have to be spending thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars on tech tools. That being said, there's a major benefit of in-housing, which is that the business development rep is a part of your agency and your team. So over time, they're going to become experts in your agency story, capabilities, the culture, the case studies. They're going to have way more in-depth knowledge. And this is going to lead to more thoughtful strategy, more targeted prospect lists, and more effective messaging, which ultimately is going to lead to more conversions with prospects over time versus outsourcing. Now, there's no right answer, though. It all really depends on your agency's unique situation. Generally speaking, if you're an agency that's just making its first steps with outbound, you may be better off starting to do this through outsourcing. It's a good short-term way for either early stage or small agencies to start lean. And as you start seeing results from outbound, you will end up being effective, and then you can then build an outbound sales team of your own. But that said, if you do want to build an in-house team from day one, there are consultants out there that can help you build your program so you can avoid the trial and error and really get up to speed much faster. Let's be honest. The process of companies selecting and engaging agencies is really begging for disruption. Along with this realization, the practice of just hoping that we win this RFP to land new clients, it's no longer servicing agencies. Be in charge of your agency's growth. RFPs, they drain time, money, and human capital, and all for little return. This is not going to help you secure predictable growth. Instead of sticking to old habits, now's the time to shift gears towards a lead generation, dare I say sales approach that gets better results with fewer resources. Outbound business development builds relationships with those senior marketing decision makers before there's a review. This will oftentimes lead to projects, oftentimes bypass the RFP process, and will get you invited to more of those right fit pitches and will ultimately position you as the preferred agency in other reviews. So I've hoped you've gotten some value from this presentation. As Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. I beg you to stop the insanity, and I encourage you to keep an open mind and explore outbound as an alternative growth strategy for your agency. I'm Christian Benak. Thank you.